Hello everyone. Before we start, please let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me in chat. Okay, thank you. Let's start then. So my name is Andrew, a pre-sales engineer from Ajax Systems, responsible for working with you guys. And today we are having our webinar where we will be talking about the Pro Desktop software most of the time, but overall we will be talking about the ways of monitoring the Ajax systems. And today we will cover our own Pro Desktop software, and we will cover the options that we have to connect Ajax hubs to the third-party monitoring softwares. This is what we will be doing today, and how we will be doing it. Basically, we will start with a short presentation, then we will have a demo of our Pro Desktop software, and then we will finish our conversation with the connecting of the hubs to the third-party monitoring softwares. In case you have any questions during me talking, please use the questions tab of our Livestorm webinar platform. There you can ask your questions in written form and I will be answering those. Today I have no moderators who could help me with that, so I will be making pauses in my presentation to answer your questions when it makes sense. So without further ado, let me share my screen and let's get started. And by the way, the presentation itself, the webinar itself, will take around 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on our activity, basically. So now it should be good. And let me share the slides. Let me double check that you can see it. And yes, you can. Okay, great. We start our conversation with the Pro Desktop software, and to be more precise, with the Pro Desktop version 3.2. And that's quite important because each new version brings new features. So if someone on this webinar worked with the Pro Desktop already but has not updated to the 3.2 version, you should do that. And I will tell you why in a couple of minutes. So what is the software? Basically, Pro Desktop software is a free software that you can download from our website, which is ajax.systems anytime. And that allows you to perform a bunch of different actions with Ajax systems. And to be more precise, you can do anything you want. So here we talk about everything from setting up a new hub for a new client to monitoring the events from the existing systems. And we will try to emphasize the monitoring functions today because this is the main topic of our webinar. So the Pro Desktop allows us to perform the monitoring for our clients. It allows us to store all the system events from all the systems that are connected to our company. It allows us to check those. It allows us to administer the existing security systems. It allows us to have the photo verification support function straight out of the box and much more. So let's talk about that much more that I mentioned. Basically, the desktop application has two main functions. Those are installation and maintenance and alarm monitoring. Those are two main ways of utilizing the Pro Desktop software. And basically, the names are quite self-explanatory. Installation and maintenance block of functions allows us to set up the devices for the clients. It allows us to adjust the system parameters, and you can change anything you want. It allows us to receive all the notifications about all the malfunctions in real time with no delay, Like it happens in literally 1 to 2 seconds. Each event is delivered in that time. And it allows us to get a detailed log of system events and in-app activities anytime we want that. But we will not be talking that much about the installation and maintenance function today. We just need to know that it exists. Today, we will be talking more about the alarm monitoring functions, which allow us to be really efficient about the incident management. Anything that happens on the protected site that we need to react to, we can do that quickly, efficiently, and easily, all from the point of view of the operator. They don't need to know much. So if you want to migrate from your other software to Ajax PRO Desktop, it will can be done easily. Also, talking about the monitoring, we receive a pretty nice function in alarm photo verification straight out of the box, which is actually huge because if we compare that to other monitoring softwares like Manitou, Patriot, etc., those companies charge like crazy money for that function. For instance, in Manitou, if I'm not mistaken, it costs around $8,000 to $10,000 to activate the photo verification function for your company, for you to receive the photos from the detectors with the photo camera. And in our case, you just get it for free. So, and also we receive a mobile panic button service support, and we can check the detailed log of system events of up to 2 years. So let's move on. And talking about the monitoring in more details, in the version 3.2 of our Pro Desktop, that functionality has been expanded greatly. Now we have two separate sets of functions for monitoring and for maintenance and installation. So depending on your business, basically, depending on what you do, you can choose one of those two, or you can choose both if you do everything, basically. And the interface of the desktop software adjusts to the chosen functionality. So if you choose to be an alarm monitoring company and you provide no installation services, then you don't need that installation functions because you cannot use those and you don't want to do that. So those will be hidden from you, basically. That's what we mean here. And since we can choose both at once, in case you are a well-rounded security company, you will have the access to everything you want and everything you need. How that works. Basically, and I will be showing you all this stuff in the demo. So basically, when you are starting a business or when you are trying to migrate to the Pro Desktop software from your current one, what you do is you create one Pro account in the application, in the mobile or in the desktop application. But if you talk about the company, it's only desktop. We'll cover that later. And you create one account, and that's it. Basically, with that one account, you can work with dozens, with hundreds, and with thousands of hubs. You can manage your employees, your installers, your operators, and whoever you want. You can change their roles, etc., etc. So now a company can organize the work with the staff, with the installers, for instance, really easily from one interface without much thinking, basically. And I will be saying that a lot. You don't need to think much when you work with the Pro Desktop software, which is actually great because, well, you don't want to think about the application. You want to think about what you need to do, right? You are trying to perform something, you're trying to do something. You don't need to combat your software in doing that, basically. The software will do everything for you. So, talking about that staff account control, how that works. Basically, each employee has a set role in the company. For example, you can be a company owner, or you can be a operator, or you can be a senior CMS engineer, and so on and so on. And depending on your role, you will have the access only to those program models and functions that contain necessary information for your work. For example, if you are a usual like operator, right? A guy who sits behind the screen and monitors the events, you don't need to have the access to the company settings. It's not your job to do. So you will not have that access. You will not even know that exists. That's basically the idea. And talking about the control of the actions of our employees, what we offer is a 2 years log of actions of each and every employee. So, for example, if your operator is late for their shift, in case they work remotely or something, you will know that because you will see when did they log into their account. In case it is taking them too long to process an incident and the quality of your services is now not that great, you will know that. You will see that time that was taken by the operator to process the incident. So you have full control of everything you need, basically. Nothing will be done without you knowing about it if you are an owner of the company, let's say, or a responsible person in general. So all this is achievable, all this action, login, etc., because of the real-time synchronization of the system parameters with the application. And we don't really care how many systems you have. It can be one system, it can be 10 systems, it can be 10,000 of systems. It will work uh, in the same manner. It will take the same amount of time to load all the information. Nothing will change depending on the number of the systems. It is just not something we care about. And you receive all the information from all the devices in real time. That's what it is. And because of that, obviously, your engineers, your employees, they don't waste time transferring the information, waiting for the information, connecting the devices, updating the devices. They just don't waste time in general. And because of high level of automation in our software and in our hardware, we have almost no risks of human errors. Your employees usually just need to observe. They don't need to do much. And if they don't need to do much, they cannot fail, basically. That's the idea here. So, talking about the functions, the functionality that you receive straight out of the box, which are quite huge. The first one is, as I've mentioned already, is the alarm photo verification feature. If you install our detectors with photo verification, which are motion cam and motion cam outdoor devices, if you use those, you obviously want to receive the photos from those detectors. And you can do that. You can do that for free, and you don't need to set up anything like in other monitoring softwares. You just install the system, you install the software, you connect the system to the software, and that's it. You can receive the photos right after that. Also, another cool feature that we provide is the panic button service. This is more useful for companies who provide, personal security, who protect people, not sites. Because if you are protecting like buildings, you don't really need this. But if you are protecting people also, you will absolutely love this feature. So how it works, each of your clients can install the mobile application on their smartphone, and that mobile application has a panic button that they can press. And after that panic button in the smartphone is pressed, you will receive the coordinates of that client, well, of their smartphone, obviously, and you will see it on the map, like in the example here, basically. And if you, once again, if you don't provide the security for individuals, you don't really need it. But if you do, this feature will be huge for you. So, talking about the business scaling, And this is an important topic because obviously we want to grow, right? We don't want to sit in one place. You can scale your business at no extra cost. Literally, $0 is required from you, is needed to scale your monitoring capabilities. That's because our infrastructure is cloud based. The Pro Desktop does not require a server. It does not require any dedicated static IP address, or you don't need a system administrator. You don't need any staff to maintain your monitoring system in general, your infrastructure, your servers. That's because you install the application on your computer and that's it. Everything else, all the hard job, all the heavy lifting is handled by the Ajax cloud. What you need is a computer and internet connection. If you have that, you are good to go, literally. And another side benefit of that is once again, you don't need the server, which means you don't need to upgrade that server. In case your number of clients grows, we handle it for you. Obviously, you will need more powers to support the number of clients. The server that can handle 100 clients and 100,000 of clients, those are different servers that cost different money. But the good news is we just handle it for you. So you don't need to care about it at all. You don't need to even think about it. And talking about the reliability, the software itself is protected against the emergencies. And here we talk about like physical emergencies, in case of fire, in case of hurricane, in case of an earthquake, in case of any disaster, basically, you obviously might want to leave your office, right? For example, you have a fire in your building. It's not safe to stay there. You need to evacuate. And you can do that. You just bring your laptop with you. You go to the closest, safest place that you have. You open your laptop. You log into your Ajax account, into your Pro Desktop software on that laptop, and you continue working. So basically, that's it. And also, another side benefit here, you can work remotely. So in case that's your business model, in case you don't have an office with a lot of workplaces, you don't want that, you can hire remote workers that will be using the software from their homes, like I do right now. Right now, I'm at my apartment and I will be showing you a demo using my copy of a Pro Desktop software connected to our cloud without leaving my room, basically, which is quite nice if you ask me. So, talking about the data storage, the data is stored for up to 2 years. Any action that is done by your employees, any event that happens in any system that is connected to your company will be stored for up to 2 years. And you can access that anytime. And going back to the previous idea of a cloud infrastructure, you don't need to have, a data center, a storage for that information. We handle it for you. When you need it, you go into the application and you just see it. You don't need to manage it, basically. So, talking about the employee management that I've mentioned several times already. Here, we offer you quite a number of employee roles with flexible access controls. And we have two blocks of roles. Once again, alarm monitoring and installation and maintenance, two different functions and two different um, blocks of roles basically here. And we will be talking about alarm monitoring in more details here. So let's talk about those roles. The roles are company owner. Well, you understand what it is, right? it's well, actually the owner of the company, literally. It's the person who is responsible for everything from the technical side of view, but usually it's an actual owner of the company. Senior CMS engineer. So this is the person who is responsible for the technical side of things. This person will have full access to every module of the system, of the software, and they will be able to make any change they want. So this is the, let's say, somebody with a superior role in your company, or somebody with a leader position. Then we have our head of operators who, well, controls the operators. And then we have our normal engineer who is controlled by the senior engineer. The logic here is quite simple. And those different roles have different accesses. And another block here is installation and maintenance. Here we have the same company owner. Obviously, the owner of the company has the access to everything. And as you can see here, senior CMS engineer does not have the access to the installation and maintenance functions. So only the company owner has that. And also in installation and maintenance part, we have our head of installers who is controlling the work of the installers. But we will not really be covering that part today. So we will briefly explain that, but we will not deep dive into it. The installers, what they do is basically they control the installations, right? So they perform the installations, they send the monitoring requests to the monitoring part of the company. They have the access to the settings of the systems. They can change those settings within the limits defined by the company account, and they are controlled by the head of installers role. And so yeah, that is that. And then talking about that installers and about that access to the settings of the systems, that access can be time limited. It can be temporarily, granted temporarily for 1, 2, 4, or 8 hours correspondingly. Also, in some specific use cases when it is needed, it is possible to have a permanent access to the facility if needed, and it is determined by the end user and it needs to be discussed with them, basically. It cannot be done in from your side only, because there is always the client on the other side of our deal here. So, as I've mentioned already, the interface of the software is really simple. And that implies that you have flexible filtering options for all the events from all the sites. If you want to check the events from one particular date range or time range for one particular object or set of objects, you can do exactly that. You will not need to manually go through each and every event that is being stored for 2 years on our cloud. You will not be in need of doing that. You will be able to find exactly what you want in no time, realistically. Also, all the alarms, well, not all the alarms, there is logic into there. The alarms are merged into the incidents, and it makes it easier for the operators to access what is happening, to understand that, and to make the best decision for that particular situation as quickly as possible, because in this business, as you guys know, time is money. And yeah, nothing to add here. Also, there is a quick search not only for the events, but also for the particular objects. You can search the needed object, you can find it using its name, using its hub identifier, using its site number. So there are different options for you to choose. You will be able to determine which approach you like more on your own, basically. We don't force you to use one approach. You can have several and choose between those, basically. And maintaining Maintaining the sites is quite easy. For example, here on this short video, you see how an installer goes to the settings of a device and changes that setting in no time. The installer has chosen the needed object in the list. They were dropped down into the settings of that system. They were able to access the needed detector and change the needed setting. As easily as that. 3 clicks and it's done. Also, talking about the monitoring, here we see how the incidents are processed. We see a new incident, we see an intrusion with photo verification. We go and process that. We can send our rapid response unit. We can check the phone number of that person, of the responsible person, like the owner of the building or whatsoever. We can contact them, and that's it. Then we fill out the fields for the report, and we are done. We can continue working basically. Also, since I've talked about filtering of events for a lot, this is how it looks like. We can filter the events by malfunctions, by alarms. We can have a combination of those. We can choose whatever we want here, basically. We can choose the time frame, the object number, and I will be showing you all this in a demo in like 10 minutes. Also, quick search works like this. You can input the object number, for example. You can even use not a full one. As you can see here, we are inputting 4 numbers of the object number, right? And the software just shows us the list of all the objects starting with 0055 in this case. And in our case, it's only one object. If there were 2, we would see 2. If there were 10, we would see 10. And well, you get the idea here. And that's it with the presentation part. And let me just check your questions real quick, if we have any, and we will continue with our demo. So, questions. One question for now, which is great. Can we download the PDF of event log? It is required for audit sometimes. Right now, you cannot. This is a feature in development. Right now, you cannot do it in PDF. You cannot do it in Excel. Basically, you cannot export the logs. But once again, for now, we are working on it. What you can do, though, you can export the maintenance reports that will show you the statuses of the system. It's not the same, but it's something already. Can we filter the alarms of the specific detector? No, you cannot do that, but when you go, well, initially, when you go into the alarms of a particular system, then you will be able to find what you want. We will check that later. Okay, not that many questions for now. Let's continue. Let's have a demo. And here I will be not that quick because we have quite a lot to cover. So that's all good. This is all great. And let's start from the beginning, right? Let's start with the Pro Desktop installation, etc. Let me just move this real quick. Good. So this is what you see when you install your Pro Desktop monitoring software. And first of all, what you will want to do, you will want to create your account, right? And you can do that. You can create your personal account using both your desktop application and your mobile application, your mobile Ajax Pro application. The account that you will create here will be the same account. So what you do here, you input your name, your last name, and you can just input whatever you want here, obviously. We don't force you, to input real data, but you should. You input your email address, your phone number, your password, you confirm that, you agree to the policy, and you press next. I don't have a spare phone number right now, so I will not create a new account. But what will happen next is you will receive two verification codes. One code will be received via the email, and one code will be sent to your phone as an SMS message. Then you input those verification codes in the corresponding fields, and you are done. You have your account created. After that, you input your email address in the login field, you input your password in your password field, you press enter, you log in. And what you will see your personal account that will look like this. And basically, you see your personal account here. You see a list of your companies here at the bottom, right? And what do you do next? Since we want to provide monitoring services, we need to figure that out because right now at this stage you cannot provide any monitoring services. What you can do is, for example, you can go to the settings of the hub, right? And you can, I don't know, turn on the lights or turn those off, right? Or change the settings of the devices. And you are receiving instant notifications about that. But as cool as it is, it's not monitoring services. So what we do, we press here on the hubs uh, text, basically, or on the arrow. All this is one button. We press here and we see a company tab. And we press on the company. And this is how you can create a monitoring company or an installation company or a mixed company. And a mixed company is the one that can do both at once. So what we do, we press create a company, we input the company name, and I will not be finishing the company creation, so I will just input some random text here, right? But you need to input a real company name. So real company name here. And let me just quickly turn off my Telegram. Sorry about that. And then you choose the country of service. In our case, let's choose UAE because why not? It's not a real company, anyways, right? So, not a real company name here then. And please note, now let me do this. So, please note that here at the top right corner, you have some really important information. As you can notice, I'm using my personal account right now. You remember, right? I've logged into my personal account and then I have switched to company. This is important. Right now, I'm creating a company using that account. And that account, after the company is created, will be assigned as a company owner. So the deal is the company owner role cannot be transferred. You cannot change the company owner. Whoever it is will be the company owner forever. So if you delegate that task as a company owner to your employee and you tell, like John, go do that, and that guy creates a company for you, and then that John is let go, well, we have a problem. He's the owner of your company, and you cannot do anything about it, and we cannot do anything about it. So please make sure that if you are the actual responsible person, the actual owner of the company, that you are using your own account. It has to be done by a superior manager, basically. So then we press continue, and here we have two options. Here we can choose the services that we want to provide with our Pro Desktop. That can be alarm monitoring. That can be installation and maintenance services. and that can be both simultaneously. Easy. The company name is right now fixed. We cannot change it. If we want, we need to go to this step. So on this step, the company information, the company name is fixed. We need to input the main company email. Please make sure that this is a corporate email. It's not an email of your employee that will be let go in a year and you will face the problem. Basically, this email will receive a verification code to confirm the company creation. And here the monitoring requests will be sent. Here the installation requests will be sent by your clients. We will be using this email to inform you about the software updates. So this is the main email that you will be using to receive the information from us, Ajax, and from all your clients. Maybe you should use an email of your senior engineer here or of the sales department or of whoever. Basically, we fill in this field. Then we input the director's full name. In our case, it is me, right? So I do that. Then we choose a company type. And there are different types here, as you can see. It can be an installation company or a self-employed installer. It can be a monitoring company. It can be a distributor. It can be an Ajax end user, and it can be other if you don't want to tell us who you are. Let's choose installation mentoring company here. And then we have a number of employees, which can range from 1 to more than 500 and to not stated if you don't want to tell us. And so, important here about these two fields, company type and number of employees. This affects nothing. Basically, you will not have your functions cut because you are, you know, a self-employed installer and you are one person. And you will not have more functions if you are a monitoring company with more than 500 employees. The functions that you can access will be all the same. It's just for our internal statistic for us to understand who are our partners, who are our clients that are using the software. So you have basically, well, you should tell us the truth here. There is no point in lying because it affects nothing. And if you don't want to tell us who you are, you just press other and an A and we will be good to go. It is better than you saying something that is not true just for our statistics. But obviously, you do you guys. Then we input the company phone number. This is the main phone number that the customers will see in the description of your company in the mobile application. So here we don't want to input a number of our, you know, engineer. Here we want to input a number of our sales team, of our technical support team, of whoever will be taking the calls from the clients. So the country of service here is now fixed, and we are also able to add a region here. And in our case, let's say it will be, I don't know, Dubai, because it is the only region I remember from UAE. But you guys are local, so you know more than me here. And after that, you agree to the user agreement. You press create a company, and after that, it is actually created. You don't need to wait. You don't need our confirmation. You don't need nothing. After you have done that, you have your company ready to go. And it will be shown in a list here. So you see on the right, I can select an account and I can select my personal account or I can select a company from the list. And as you can also see, my personal account is connected to 4 different companies. And in 2 of those, which have my last name in it, Test Fedorov and Test Fedorov 2, I am the owner of the company because those are my own test companies. The security way is our is a company of my pre-sales department where all the pre-sale engineers are testing things. And there I'm not an owner. There I am an engineer. And this company, extremely safe professional company, is the company of our technical support team. And there I'm also an engineer. So what it means for us? For us, it means that you can be a self-employed installer that installs the hubs like on Saturdays, or after the work on work days. And you also can be, for example, a monitoring engineer or an installer for an actual big security company on the work days, if that makes sense. So you can have different roles in different companies, and you yourself can be like kind of a company, if you're a self-employed specialist. So now let's talk about the company, and let's use this test Fedorov company. This is a company that I have used for some time already, and let's start with the beginning, with the company tab. So what we have here, and we will just go through each and every tab and see what we can do there. Basically, company tab contains all the main information about your company. Here you see the ID of your company, the short name, the email address that you use, all the information basically. You see your legal address, you see your public information that will be shown in the mobile application. Here you can input the email address, you can change the logo, the phone number, you can change the country of service, etc. And if you want to change that, you press the edit button and you just change whatever you want, basically. So then we have our service settings. And here we can select the services that we provide. Right now, we have a company that provides both alarm monitoring and installation and maintenance. In case we want to shut down our monitoring department, we can just deselect that and press restart now. I cannot do that right now because I am providing the monitoring services for my clients. And I cannot just shut down that without letting my clients know and without agreeing that with my clients, because obviously the paperwork has to be signed by both sides of the deal, right? By the client and by the monitoring company. The client basically says that, yes, I will pay you money for security. And you, as a company, say that, yes, I will take your money and provide you with the security services. So you cannot just tell them, hey, we just don't do that anymore without them knowing about it, basically. And then we have a couple of other features like objectful access for our installers, which is not that important for monitoring. And we have the next feature, which is called media file storing period, which is really important for monitoring. So remember I said that we store the data for 2 years? Like that is true, but there is a caveat here if you talk about the media files, like photos from the motion cams, for example. There are different countries with different policies regarding the private information storage, right? And your country might not allow you to store that information for 2 years. So we've got you covered. You can change it from 7 days to 90 days to 1 year to 2 years and everything in between. If your regulations say that you can only store the media files for 30 days, you can do that, as easy as that. But please note that this applies only to the new files. What I mean. So right now you see 2 years here, right? And I have, let's say I have a photo that I receive right now. That photo will be stored for 2 years. But then I find out that I cannot do that I need to make it 30 days. So I change it to the 30 days option, and all the new photos will be stored for 30 days. But those old photos will be still stored for 2 years. It does not apply to the old photos retroactively. You need to keep that in mind. And if you are starting a new business, you should check it in advance, not to get into any trouble with your regulators. So let's make it 2 years because it's my own company. So why would I change it? Then we have some other settings like company locked hubs, object maintenance, etc. etc. You don't really need that as a monitoring company. So this company locked hubs option, for example, restricts the access to the hubs. Basically, we have this feature where we can lock the hubs when we manufacture them, when we produce them. We can log those hubs to your company. So those hubs will be monitored only by your company. And if any other company tries to do that, they just will not be able to. This feature basically does that. Then we have our objects maintenance feature, which is quite huge. If you want to get maintenance reports, for example, for the insurance company or something, you can do that. But for you to be able to do that, you need to enable this feature. And then we have this specific receive notifications of power outage features on the objects feature. This feature basically allows you to generate an incident once your hub or your range extender or any of your integration modules, once they lose the power, you will be able to receive that information or you will be able to ignore that information. And this feature was created because of the war in Ukraine. And right now we have some problems with the power supply here in our country because some of our electrical stations are not operating properly. And basically, there are a lot of sites that have a lot of problems with electricity. And when your electricity goes down 4 times a day, right? And then it gets back 4 times a day, and then you're a company with 10,000 hubs and you receive 40,000 of those notifications a day. Well, that's kind of not ideal, right? So you can disable that. And in case in your region, in your city, in your district, there are some problems with electricity, even temporary problems, right? After like, I don't know, hurricane, heavy snow or whatever, you can just disable those power notifications to not get that constant spam. And after the situation is stabilized, after we are good to go again, after our power supply is stable, we just turn it back on, and that's it. So then the next feature here is access rights. And what we can do here is we can set up the access rights for each of our employee roles. For example, here, if I go to the engineer tab, right, I can set up the rules for all of my engineers. For instance, I can change their accesses to the photos on demand feature. And that feature is you can go to the mobile application, you can press the button, and your motion cam device will make a photo for you. You can allow them, for example, to view the camera streams, or you can allow them to create a maintenance report. And for instance, a normal operator, or a normal engineer does not need to create a maintenance report, right? But an installer might need to do that because after the installer has installed the system, they will want to create a maintenance report for the client as a PDF file and show it to them so that they are sure that there are no malfunctions at that particular moment when they are accepting the job. And this is what it is for, basically. So then we have our employees here. And as you can see here right now, I have only 2 employees. This bottom one is me, and this top one is my colleague. I understand, guys, that you cannot read it, but it's quite hard to change the names of the accounts after those are already created, so I didn't do that. Sorry. So what I can do? First of all, I can check my own information. And as we can see here, I am the owner of the company, the senior CMS engineer, the engineer, the head of operators, the operator, the head of installers, and the installer of this company. Basically, I'm a great employee. I do all that things at once. And so that is that. And as a company owner, I basically have all the functions by default. Then, if we talk about my employees, me as a company owner or as a CMS engineer, I can change their information. For example, I can change their name to this so that you can read it. And I will not try to change the last name because lots of letters. At least you now know what his name is. And so I can change the roles of this particular employee. For example, I can make him a senior CMS engineer and he will have all the roles applied because a senior CMS engineer has the access to everything. Or I can choose only one of those. For example, or I can choose several of those, like this: engineer, installer, operator, or for example, head of operators plus engineer, or whatever you want. And also please note here that, for example, if I choose head of operators, the operator role is applied by default and it cannot be changed. That's because the head of operators can do all the things the operator can do plus more. So it is operator plus the head functions. That's why we apply both simultaneously. So for example, let's make this guy a head of installers and an operator, and let's save those changes. Uh-huh. That's cool. And good. Now our Oleg is a head of installers, an installer, and an operator. And in case you are willing to add a new employee, you can do it really easily. What you do is you just input the email address on the employee, for example, at Ajax.systems. You choose their role. For example, we are hiring a new engineer, right? And you press add, and I don't remember his email address. Let's try this one. Okay, but guys, you get the idea, right? I believe you do. If this email address did exist, I would be able to add this guy as an engineer here. And next, let's move on to the workstations. What workstations do is those allow us to verify the computers that our employees use. And to show you that, let me just switch the company real quick to this one, to the Security Way company. And good. Let's go to the company. Let's go to the workstations. So you see here, we have lots of workstations. And as you can see here, for example, this guy, Arango Pita, how it works. We see his email address, so we understand that this is this operator. we see his computer ID, we see his workstation name. For example, it is a forum office in this case, and forum is the name of the building basically. And we know that this operator is offline basically. And we can do the same for all our other employees here. And so what it does is in case our employee logs into the account using the computer that is not verified, we will receive an alert. And that is needed for one particular, well, for two reasons actually. The first reason can be your policy. If you have a strict policy where you don't allow your employees to work remotely, where you want them to work from the office, from their particular computer, and you don't want them to share the accounts, which is quite logical, then you want to do that. And also, you will be able to track if any of the accounts of your employees were stolen. For example, if I see here, right, this guy, Zahir.orm, he logged into the account using the unverified computer. And for example, I know that this guy has another computer that is verified. So what I do, I contact him and I ask him what's going on here. Is it you using another PC, or is it your personal details were leaked and we need to make sure no harm is done to our company, right? So this is the idea of this function. Then you have your rapid response units here, and you can create a new one here. You input their call sign, for example, I don't know, alpha. You input their number, you input their phone number if needed, and you input basically their details. You press add, and here you have your alpha response unit created. And last but not the least, we have a list of our hubs here. And these are all the hubs that we work with as a company. And as you can see here, there are hubs which have both monitoring and installation services provided, like this top one, Object 36B. Then we have this object named VOVA that we have only monitoring services provided for it. And also, let me try to find, and for example, this object with no name, which we are only providing the installation services to. So we can be quite flexible with our hubs and with our services. So now what we will do, we will figure out how to add the hubs to our system. And let me go to the main company again for that. And to add a hub to our system and overall to work with that, so to do that, we will need our objects tab. And the objects tab basically has a full list of our objects. And right now I have two objects here, as you can see. Now let me check my email address real quick. That A +2. Good. And now what I will do is I will show you how a client or an installer can send a monitoring request to our company. And to do that, I will be using my team viewer and I will be connecting to my smartphone here. So let me just quickly set it up. I just cannot find the app here. Okay, good. Okay, so what do I need to do here? Just does not want to work, you know. Okay, good. Connect. Hopefully we are connecting. Yes, we are. should be good. Cool. So you see here at the bottom, I have two accounts, Ajax Pro and Ajax. I will be using the Ajax account because I will be acting as an end user right now. But you could use your Ajax Pro account and you would need to follow the same exact steps basically. Nothing changes if you decide to use Ajax Pro account. So what I'm doing, I'm opening my Ajax account and I have my hub here, right? And what I do next is I go to the settings of my hub. I go to the security companies here. And here there are two options. First one, I can find a security company in the list of security companies. So the thing about it is the list here is GPS based. So I am located in Ukraine, so I'm seeing only the Ukrainian companies. In case you are located in Saudi Arabia, for example, you will only see your local companies. In case you're located in Turkey, you will see Turkish companies, etc., etc. You get the idea. And in case, so if you want to be present in the list here, if you want to be shown in the list, your company, if you want to show your company in the list, you need to contact your business development manager responsible for the region and talk about that with them. It is, well, it's not a service we provide for everybody, let's put it that way. But if you are not shown in the list, it does not mean you cannot use the functions. You see the envelope button at the top right? We will use that. And let me do that. So I will be inputting the email address of my company, which is Fedorov.a. And what was it? +2. Okay. +2 at ajax.systems. Good. Continue. And I see the company here. And I choose it. And I send a request. All right. And now I see this request to this company that is waiting for the approval of the company, right? So what I do now as a company, let's go back to the Pro Desktop. Where can I find that request, right? Well, that is easy. Now you can find it in the Objects tab. So we go to the Objects tab, we hit refresh, and what do we see here? We see two active hubs, right? And we see one monitoring request here at the bottom left, and that is the monitoring request from the end user. In case this request was sent by our installer via their Pro application, that would be a request from the installer. So what I see here, here I see the ID of the hub, I see the name of the administrator of the hub, I see the email of the administrator, and I see the time of the date of the request. And I will obviously accept the monitoring from this particular client because why not? And now I need to create an object. So it will be an object number 123 with the object name home because I'm at home and this is my home hub. And I hit next. And that's it. Now my object is created and I can change, like I can check the statuses of the object and I can change the information about it. So it's up to me what to do now. I can see the statuses of all the devices. For example, I see that this hub has two malfunctions, and to be more precise, the SIM card is not working and the monitoring station is not connected. And here we are talking about the direct connection to a third-party monitoring software. We are not talking about the Ajax PRO Desktop because, as you can see here, we have three active objects here, right? It has nothing to do with the desktop monitoring. And for example, if I go to the company and to the hubs, now I have my new hub, home hub, with active monitoring subscription here. And what I do if I want installation services? Let's check that. As an end user, I go to the installers/companies here, and I see that I have a private installer on my hub, and I want to invite the installation company. I will do exactly that. I will input the email address of my installation company, which is the same email address, right? So it has to be +2 here, and I will press continue, and I will choose the company from the list, and I will press invite. Now the installation company is invited. And as we can see here, now we are providing installation services for this home hub with the object 1, 2, 3. And the installation services, they don't need to be confirmed basically. So lastly, let's see journal and monitoring tabs. So journal looks like this. Right now, this company has 9,248 different records. And for example, if I go to this company, which is much more popular, this journal has more than 100,000 records, and they are all stored here. And let's use this company for the sake of it. So let's talk about the filters. For example, we want to see all the malfunctions, right? And by the way, you see here 1507 Andrew Fedorov signed in. That's me. I just signed in as an employee, and my supervisor will be able to see that. And here, 258 at the bottom, I signed out. My employee will be able to see that, my employer. So let's say we want to see all the malfunctions. Here they are. Here are all the malfunctions of all the hubs for 2 years. But what if I want to see malfunctions and alarms? Here they are. Now we have all the malfunctions and all the alarms. But let's stick to alarms, right? Because we are talking about the monitoring. Here we see the full list of our alarms, but what if we don't want to know the alarms from each particular hub, right? What if we want to choose only one hub? We can do that. For example, let's choose this one. Let's choose so we will do that, and we will use the account number of, for example, 3030, right? This is an easy account number. So 3030. And we wait. And here is the full list of the alerts from this hub for all the time, right? But what if we don't want that? What if we want to find only the January 19th? Well, we can do that. Now we use the time frame, and we will do from January 19th, confirm 00, okay, to January 19th. And so January 19th, 23 59, right? And we press apply. And here are all the alerts for that particular day. But actually, the better approach is to do this to the next days and 00. Here those are. And now we have this information in front of our eyes. And what we can do is we can filter one particular detector. That's the question that I had earlier, right? That you've asked earlier. We can do that, but we can do that only after we find the particular system. After the system is found, you can filter by the device. Right now, we are using this door opening detector, and we see there was one opening and there was one closing of those doors. And that's it. And also, as I mentioned, there are photo verifications. So let's check that. Here are our photos, basically. This is how it works. So this is the journal, and this is the alerts. Also, we can check our operators availability. For example, here, I want to check the time frame. Let's say I want to see how my operators are doing this working month from January 9th to February 9th to today, right? 1 month of operation. I do this and I see how my operators are doing. And for example, I want to check this guy, Oleksiy Tsitsilin. Let's press on his name. And now I know everything he did these months. Basically, he only signed in and signed out, and he processed one incident. What it means for us, it means that he's not that good of a worker, and we will need to talk to him. But well, you get the idea what it allows us to do. It allows you to see the actions of your employees, basically. So let's close all that. Let's reset everything. And let's go to the monitoring, but let's use my personal company again. So I'm using my company, my personal company. I'm using my personal hub. And what I will do now is I will go to the mobile application and I need to turn on the thing again. The team viewer died. So let me just do that. Good. Is it good? Yeah, it is good. So what I will do now, I will go to the control tab and I will just press the panic button. The panic button is this exclamation mark at the bottom right. So I'm pressing that. I'm retrieving my location. I'm, by the way, not sure. And you see here at the top, the Ajax PRO Desktop received something. Let's go see what it is. So we have a new incident here. And let's see what it is. And as we can see here, Andrew pressed the panic button and we've started processing this incident. And we have a map icon here. And let's wait. So here now we see where our client is located, and the side effect of that, now you guys know where I live. So please don't come here. I will not open the door. And so what do we do next? We start processing it. And what do we have here? First of all, we have the full history of the incident at the bottom, right? You see what I'm scrolling. So first of all, we see that the security company started working with the system. The object was added to the Pro Desktop. The employee added the installation company. And then we see that this user pressed the panic button, and that is the problem. What I do now? Now I check the top, since I don't understand what's happening, I check the top right corner where I have the information of the about the responsible person. This is the person that I will contact regarding the incidents of this particular object, this particular site. And important note here, the Pro Desktop software cannot make calls. So IP telephony is not here. We don't offer that function. So you will need to make a call using some third-party software. And you can just copy the number and you can, for example, paste it in your AP telephony software. You can hit the call button and you can make a call. That's how it works. Then, for example, in our case, call was accepted, right? The information was updated right away. So now the call was accepted and we have figured out with the client what it was. In our case, let's choose one. So in our case, it was a panic button check. We have checked with our client that everything works perfectly fine, and I can add a commentary here. So what I can write here, for example, check test successfully, and I can add another comment here like the function is ready to operate, something like that. Now I will finish processing my incident, and that's it. And now let's go to the journal. And here in the journal, we see all that information. You see here at the top, panic button was pressed, incident was started, this employee started viewing the incident, this exact employee started processing the incident, and the same employee closed the incident, like that. And so now what we can do, we can press on this clock icon and we see the history of the incident, which we can copy and which we can paste wherever we want, just like that. And so we can copy and paste the information about one incident, but we cannot export the full log of the journal for now. So that's basically it regarding the demo of a Pro Desktop. That should give you quite a good understanding of what this software can do and how easily you can use it. Obviously, there it was a lots of information, right? But overall, you see how it is to process the incident, how easy it is to find the needed information. So now this is uh, so that is that. And now let me just check if we have any additional questions. And yes, we do. We have lots of questions. So guys, I will answer all those questions right now and we will move on. 304, the last question. Good. So we are facing an OTP issue in our sector, Kuwait. I'm afraid that this is not a question for our webinar. And in this case, you should contact our technical support to resolve it, basically. So why Ajax detectors take a long time to alert? Why it is not instant alarm? Well, it is instant alarm, generally speaking. And if in your case it is not, then there are two options. There is some kind of a problem with the detector, or there is a problem with the way it is installed. Maybe it is not installed correctly. And in this case, my answer will be the same as for the previous question. If you have any technical issues with the system, you should always contact our technical support. They are employed exactly for that. They are made here to solve your issues quickly and efficiently. They are available 24/7, so there is no reason not to contact them. I have a problem. I downloaded an application Ajax on the phone and the video image did not appear on the motion detector, not appear with me. Please help. I assume you mean that you did not receive any photos from the motion cam detector, and that can be possible for a number of reasons. And the most obvious reason here is that the function may be not even enabled, or maybe the limit of the maximum number of the photos is reached, or maybe the detector is malfunctioning, or it can be something else entirely. And here the answer is sorry, but the answer is the same. You should contact our technical support and deep dive into it. Unfortunately, it's not a question for me to answer within this webinar. This question needs a full-on investigation, basically. There is a problem with the OTP system. Some of my clients' phones they don't receive the OTP in their phone number. Please contact our technical support. It is the same question that was asked below already. So same question, same answer. Then in the application, we cannot see a live view of the outdoor motion cam. Well, that's because it is not a live camera. It is a photo camera that makes photos on alarms, on alerts. It is not a video camera in general. So you are not supposed to see the live view. It's not a function that we provide. If the devices are hacked, is it possible to recover easily or not? The devices cannot be hacked. So uh, that's it, basically. It's impossible to hack our devices. So you don't need to recover that. And I understand that you will tell, yeah, but what if it is possible? Well, it just isn't possible. So that is that. Can we use Ajax Relay for 3 positions on, off, and pause to link it with the nice robust motors? Yes, but not directly. You can do that, but you cannot do that directly, and you will need to use an additional relay, for example, some kind of an SPDT relay or something like that. Our relay has only an on and off position, while you want to have on, off, and pause position, which is not possible, which means you will need to use some additional devices. So it's a no for a straight out of the box solution, but it's a yes in theory. I tried to create a company, but it says my domain email is already in use, but it is in use for my personal account. How can we sort this? Most likely you are doing something incorrectly, and most likely you are not trying to create a company, but you are trying to create a personal account, or vice versa. You are trying to create a company, but that company is already created and you are not aware of it. So there is some kind of misunderstanding between you and our software, basically. Most likely, there is some kind of a link missing in this logics here. And I know that I tell it almost for every question, but please contact our technical support to resolve the issue, because that's what their job is, to help you with such problems. Right now, I can just make some theories, but I cannot be exact with my answers because I cannot investigate your question. I installed an outdoor motion protect, also an outdoor motion cam. whose recommended height is 1.3 meters in one of my client's house. But my client wants to put it higher, and when I install this one higher, it doesn't detect anything. So what can I do? So, as you've mentioned, the recommended installation height is 1.3 meters because on this installation height, the detector is able to detect the motion. If you install the detector higher, especially considerably higher, then the detector will not be able to detect the motion because that height is not recommended to use. So what you can do is you can install the detector correctly, like you've done initially, and you should explain your client that the instruction is not written for no reason. The instruction tells you how to do the job properly. And as the client sees already, when the job is not done correctly, the detector does not work. So just reinstall the detector to the correct installation height. You cannot install the detector higher and basically expect it to work. It will not. Where to download the latest Desktop Pro version? That is a good question, and let me show it. I will share my screen once again. So where can you download it? And it's funny that I forgot to explain it. So you go to the website, which is Ajax Systems. You go to the products. You go to the software. You press on the Pro Desktop icon. You press on the download icon. And after you have downloaded it, it will be updating itself automatically every time. And since we are here already, and since I've sent you guys to talk to our tech support already, here are their contact details. You go to our Ajax.systems website, you press support. Here are their contact details, which you can copy. Or you can press a get consultation button and submit a support ticket. So next question. I have a Ajax Hub with Rex and push button device. The problem is when I connect the push button to Rex, then I can't use it with main hub, and I can use it only with Rex. How to solve this? Well, what you have explained is the intended correct behavior of the system. Uh, so you cannot solve this because it is exactly how it is supposed to work. When you connect a key fob or like space controller button, when you connect it to a Rex, it works with Rex. When you connect it to a hub, it works with hub. It does not jump between those two depending on where it is located. So once again, what you have explained is the correct behavior of the system. It is intended to work exactly like that. How to assign a specific siren to a specific detector? For example, I have two infrared sensors and two sirens, and they want, yeah, I get the idea. So basically, you want one detector to trigger one siren, and you want another detector to trigger another siren, and stuff like that. So that can be done, and that can be done quite easily. For example, you can use groups. You distribute the system into different groups and you assign different sirens to different groups of the detectors. That's how it can be done. Okay, very good. So let's finish our conversation with the ways of connecting the Ajax systems to the third-party monitoring stations, because this is another important part of the conversation. So I will share my screen once again. Should be good. And I will share the slides once again. Should be good. Yes, it is. So How can we connect our hubs to the third-party monitoring stations? Well, as everything in the Ajax, quite easily. But let's try to give you more details than that, and let's try to be more precise. So we have this software that is called Ajax Translator. That is an application for you to be able to connect your Ajax systems to the monitoring stations. It is designed exactly for that. And as you can tell by the name of the software, it is a link between a hub and a monitoring station. Basically, it translates the signals that it receives from the hubs into the protocol that your monitoring software can understand. And here, talking about the event transmission to the monitoring station, there are actually three main options. The first one is Pro Desktop. If you're working only with Ajax hubs, then you just use our own software to provide monitoring services for that because it is far superior in that if we talk about the Ajax control panels. But if you mix Ajax control panels with third-party panels that you are most likely using some kind of a monitoring software already. So then we can use like SIA protocol, and we can use which is the most used protocol in the world, right? And we can use a bunch of other proprietary protocols of other monitoring softwares. So how does it work from the technical point of view? Basically, it's quite simple. We have our hub that transmits the data through the internet to your computer or to your server. And on your side, on your server side, you have your monitoring software installed and configured, and you have your Ajax translator installed and configured, and those are connected. And the translator receives the signal from the hub and translates it to the standardized protocol of your monitoring software. Uh, then the monitoring software receives that information and you do whatever you need to do with it. This is how it works on one picture, but it is a bit more complicated as you can guess. So let's talk about that. Basically, when we are connecting the translator to the monitoring software, there are two options. Those are socket connection or TCP/IP connection. Those are same thing, just different names. And also there is a COM port connection, which is a more old school approach. Let's put it this way, a bit outdated approach. So if we talk about the TCP/IP or a socket connection first, here what you will need to know, and you will need to know the IP address of the monitoring software and the port of the monitoring software. You input that details onto the Ajax translator, and that's it. It's set up. And this is how it kind of looks in theory. Basically, if the translator and the monitoring software are installed on one PC or on one server, then the translator is connected to the data receiving module of your monitoring software directly using the local host IP, so using the same computer and using the port inside of that local network that is open and that is listened by the data receiving module. It's easy as that. You need to input two lines of information in the Ajax translator, and that's it. So this is our plan basically. 2 points. You need to configure the event receiver in your monitoring software, and you need to specify the IP address and the port to which the data from the translator will come. Then you go to the settings of the translator and you input these same details in the settings of the translator so that the translator knows where to send the data. And that's it. And this is what we do if we have two different computers, one computer with your translator and one computer with your monitoring software. Here the idea is the same, but it's a bit more complicated because we have two IP addresses. We just need to input the IP address of your monitoring computer into the settings of your translator computer. That's it, just the IP address that is different. Then we have our COM port approach. This one is even easier to set up. Basically, you need to create a COM port pair. So a pair of two COM ports here. One will be used by the Ajax translator. Another one will be used by the monitoring software. And they are interconnected because this is how the COM port pair works, generally speaking. And that's it. You just specify the ports in the settings of the software and it just works. Obviously, you will need to use some kind of a COM port emulator because, as you might know, the COM ports initially were physical ports connected by the cable. And by the way, you can use the physical ports, but I doubt you will because like nobody uses that technology nowadays, but you can. And so then talking about the translator connection and about the hub to translator connection, there are two options. The hubs can be connected to the translator using the cloud, Ajax Cloud. In this case, we have the photo verification feature and the coordinates feature available. And another option here is we can connect the Ajax hub to the translator directly. And by the translator here, I mean, to be more precise, I mean this. So your PC. This is what I mean. You can connect the Ajax hubs directly to your computer, right? But this will be possible only using the SIA protocol. And you will have no photos, you will have no coordinates, so you will only receive the alerts and like the events, but no additional functions. Then we have our combination of two channels, which looks like this. You have your direct connection to the translator and you have your cloud connection to the translator. And in this case, the cloud connection is the backup connection and the direct connection is your primary one. So how it works, if something is wrong with your direct connection, the cloud will handle it and will keep transmitting the data. That's it. So talking about the direct connection where our cloud is not involved, this is how it works. Basically, we have an alarm that is received by the hub, so the alarm from the detector. Then it is sent to the internet. And to be more precise, it is sent to your network, to your router, right? It is received, it is sent to your local network. Then it is sent to the computer or to the server that has the Ajax translator and the monitoring station installed. This is how it works. And here are the system requirements for the Ajax translator. Basically, nothing interesting here. And any computer that is like 10 years old or newer will handle the translator and will not even notice it. So we are free to say that any computer will do. The only important thing here is it is a Java-based application. So you need to have Java installed. And also, you should avoid Windows Server operating system. You should use just normal Windows because if you talk about the Windows Server, there are some nuances to that. The setup can be quite tricky, and by quite tricky, I mean it's quite hard to do. So you should just use normal Windows, not the server version if possible. But I'm not saying that this Windows Server is an impossible task. It's just it is more complicated to set up. So then this is the full list of the protocols that we support. So you can see here we have CADC09 protocol, we have Sugar protocol, we have AB Systems Patriot, we have Manitou, SBN, Sentinel, Kronos, and Mass XML protocols. And yes, you can notice the Sugar protocol supports only the alarms and the events. And also the direct SIA connection supports only the alarms and the events, while all other protocols are handled by the cloud. And those protocols allows you to transmit the visual alarm verifications through the translator to your monitoring station. And those allow you to transmit the coordinates of the panic button that was pressed in the mobile application. So there are huge benefits into using the cloud connection, basically. So then we have this list of the monitoring softwares that we support. So in case you are thinking about switching to another monitoring software, we can advise you one of these, like Manitou, Horus, Patriot, Kronos, etc., etc. These are all good, and these will work with Ajax straight out of the box because we have integrations with them. But please note that some of these monitoring stations can cost a lot, like to be honest. So you need to make your research basically and to choose the one that does everything you want and it does not cost too much for you. So this is it for today basically. Let me quickly check new questions if there are any. So let me see. Where do you configure in the hub for direct connection? This is a good question. Let me show it to you. And so, does it work? Yes, it does. So, this is how you do it. You go into the settings of the hub. You go to the monitoring station settings. And here you configure the direct connection. And you can choose between the Ajax translator. If you have the translator installed on your side and you want the direct connection to the translator, or in case you don't use the translator, you can use the CADC 09 protocol, CADCS format. And in this case, you will be able to not use the translator and to connect directly to the monitoring station. This is how you do it. So let me wait a couple of minutes in case you have any other questions. Okay. Can we get this recording? Yes, the recording will be available and you will be able to access it using the same link you used to enter this webinar. Ask again, can we get the recording? I've answered it already, yes, and I mean 30 seconds is not that long to wait for the answer. But yes, you will be able to see the recording. Okay, guys, since now we're talking about the recording, I believe we are done talking about the technical stuff, which means that we are good for today. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for being here, for staying in the end. Hopefully, this information was useful and was interesting. And see you in the next webinar, wherever it is. And I wish you a good day. Bye bye.